Hi everyone, welcome back. In this fourth lesson we are going to start modelling. I've already positioned all the CAD files correctly on top of each other, all the plans are there, and I've got the elevations for the front of the building and the Muse building positioned over here. If I just spin round, you can see I've got the section there and all the floor plans are at the relevant heights. So from the front viewport, we can see that each floor plan is a roof CAD, second floor, first floor, lower ground floor, etc., etc., are all positioned correctly. So let's go ahead and start modelling. So what I'm going to do is start modelling with the front of the building. I'm just going to rotate this minus 90 degrees. Just zoom in there. Now, obviously we're not going to model every brick. It can be done. There are scripts and things that can do that. Obviously you can array bricks or use a good floor generator script. I know that's quite a common thing to use when doing planks and things like that. It's also good for bricks. So that's one way to do it, but all I'm going to do initially is just do it with splines and extrusions. So I'm just going to start by tracing around that brick there, and I'm going to have my snaps on, locking X and Y only, and I'm just going to push spacebar to lock my selection, hold down shift, click and drag it across, and I'm going to make that an instance. Whenever something is going to be exactly the same, you should always instance it. That's basically so that when it comes to rendering, Max uses a lot less RAM when things are instanced. It saves you taking up all the RAM, for things that are unnecessary when it comes to render time. That's quite a common mistake to make. So there we go. Now obviously because those are instanced, as soon as I add a modifier to one, it's going to do them all for me. So I'm just going to push F3 to switch to realistic mode. One of the cool things I like about Max 2014 is if you push X, you get this little type box and you can type in anything you want. So I've typed in extrude there and it's showing me all the options I can do, all the modifiers that I can add that have extrude in the title. You can put just EX for example, and it will show you a lot more in the list, but if you know what you want, then it's just worth typing a few more just to narrow down the options. So I'm going to add the extrude modifier onto there, and I'm going to extrude minus 300. So there we go. Just go back to the top viewport there. Now with the windows, I'm using rectangle. I'm just going to draw a rectangle around the outer, a rectangle on the inner, another one there, another one there, another one there, and one more. This one's a bit trickier, from there to there. Now I'm going to keep this one selected because all we want to do is just extend the left hand edge across. So I'm just going to convert it to an editable spline, turn vertex mode on here, and then with my X I'm just going to move this across and snap to the outer left edge there. So that pretty much gives me all the splines I need to do the window. I'm just going to draw a window crossing around all those objects. Now I've got window crossing turned on, so if I click and drag to the right and down, I get a solid window. If I click and drag to the left, I get a dashed window selection. The reason being, when you go sorry, trying to deselect that. when you go from left to right, the solid window means that it'll only select things that fully appear inside that window. So if I let go, as you can see, all I've got selected there is the shapes that I just drew. If I start this side and go to the right, it selects everything that selection crosses. So it selected all the CAD and everything beneath. So I just want to go left to right. That's quite a handy feature. That can be turned on in Customize Preferences. And it's in here, this scene selection that I showed you earlier, the auto crossing. So we have that on, and I prefer right to left. So that gives me my window. I'm just going to push Alt-Q to isolate that selection. Now obviously this is all splines at the moment, so we can't see any solid colours. So what I'm going to do is select the relevant splines, which is that one there and that one there. Now quite a cool thing is obviously there are two splines in exactly the same place. This edge and this edge were in exactly the same place. So that's not the one that I want, but if you click and click again, it cycles through everything that's within, underneath that particular mouse click. So if you're in any viewport, perspective viewport, top viewport, side viewport, if you know your object is exactly there, but it's selecting objects in front, and just keep clicking, and eventually Max will find the one that you want. So I'm just going to keep clicking. There we go. That's got the one that I want. And I'm going to control click the outer one. I'm just going to isolate those, and I'm going to right click editable spline and attach that one. And again, just push X, type extrude, just do that 100 mil, sorry, let's do it 150. Unhide everything again, just get my window selection again there. Same thing here, so let's just rename this window surround so we know what we're selecting. So I'm just going to click again. So there we go, I've got my rectangle. That's an editable spline. I'm going to attach this inner one. This can be lower window surround X extrude. Now these are going to do 100 mil, and I want to do the same thing up the top here. So we'll select that one, right click, editable spline, attach the inner one. Now rather than typing X and going for extrude, or clicking on here and choosing the modifier that I want, what you can do is, when you know a modifier is going to be the same as a previous one, you can just click on the object that you want to drag from, that you want the modifier from, and you click on the modifier, drag it over the top of the object you want to apply it to and let go, and that will apply the modifier with the same parameters. Now it's not instanced, so if I change one, for instance, make this 500, this one has stayed at 100. If you do want to instance, which absolutely you can, I just delete these modifiers quickly. You need to do it, you need to have more than one object selected. So if I select these two at the same time, they're both selected, then add an extrude modifier on. When the text here is in italics, it means that it's an instance modifier. So if I change one, it'll change the other one at the same time. Even if you don't have them both selected, it changes them both at the same time. So what I'm actually going to do is make this 50. Now I'm going to select both of these, Control V, make them into a copy. Select the first one, drop down the modify panel and choose spline. And I'm going to select the outer spline and delete it. Turn this back on, make it 10. And this is basically going to be my glass. Now choose the other one. Just keep cycling through. Go to spline, pick my outer spline. There we go, just change the wire colour just so it's easily visible. So we've got a bit of difference. Select both of those. Now this was 50mm, so we're just going to move this up. So half would be 25 minus half of the glass width, which is 10, so I'm just going to move that up 20. Now I should explain what I just did there with the move tool. When something has been positioned in space, these are the coordinates, x, y, z coordinates of the pivot point. If I wanted to move this up by 10mm, I couldn't type in 10 here. What that's done is positioned it 10mm above 0. As you can see, it was already at 20 because I had moved it up 20. If you want to move it up a certain amount from where it currently is, you just click this absolute mode. That resets everything to 0. Now if I move this, type in 50 here, it's moved it up 50mm from where it was. And if I turn this off, the value would be now 70, which is 50mm higher than 20. So that's quite a useful toggle to switch on and off. Now I'll turn it back off. I know I want it to be 20mm above 0, so we'll just type in 20 this time. Right, in the next tutorial I'm just going to carry on modelling the facade using the same techniques. I will see you in the next one.